What up? What up? We are here for another excellent episode. I am your host, Emmanuel Dion, and this is Unraveling the Onion. This is the community think tank where we look at things of the past and we unravel the onion. We're able to look at the origin of a thing to know how it came about. All right. So, with that being said, we're about to get ready to jump it off here. Today, our topic is segregation versus integration. Segregation versus integration. Before we get going, I want to give a quick trigger warning. I'm not sure what I will say in this in this topic or what could come up, but today's conversation includes race, racism, segregation, integration, discrimination, slavery history, Negro history, may include violence and language that some people may find disturbing. If that's heavy for you right now, take care of yourself first. Okay? Pause, step away, come back, rejoin the conversation. If you do get triggered, then it is a bigger implication to something else. Maybe that's something that needs to be addressed. Maybe we can find out that there was some hidden pain there that needs to be addressed, or if there is some level of offense. All right. So, so why this conversation is happening now? Okay. So America has debated segregation and integration for over a century, right? We have this long going conversation. Du Bois and Booker T. Washington, right? They were kind of like the first Martin Luther King and the first Malcolm X that came about, right? W.E. Du Bois acting as the Martin Luther King, and we have Booker T. Washington acting as Malcolm X. Okay, so this is a long, ongoing conversation that has happened, right? So this conversation never actually ended. All it did was change language, but there is something here. There's something underneath the surface that I believe is a real solution for us, right? It is a real solution of what we are dealing with. All right. So this matters right now. So today we're unpacking a topic that still shapes neighborhoods, schools, politics, culture, religion, right? Last week, I believe it was last week, we had a guest on, and our guests, they stated their religious affiliation. How did you get that religious affiliation? If you are if you're a native, did you come over Baptist? Did you come over Christian? Did you come over Pentecostal? Right? So let's look at this, because once we actually identify the origin of these things, then it can open up our scope, right? It can really open us up to more than the world that we've just been birthed in, once we see how that world evolved into the place that it has become today. So, segregation versus integration, most people think this debate ended decades ago, but the reality is we're still living inside its consequences. So most arguments happen because people use different definitions. So here, segregation is going to mean separated up by groups, usually by race or ethnicity or class, whether by law, policy, or social behavior. So here in America, we understand that segregation was something of a law, right? So we have segregation, which was defined by the law, and you couldn't go into certain spaces, you couldn't sit in certain spaces, so on and so forth. And then we have desegregation, right? Was what the decriminalizing of me going in and asking for that white only pie. You know what I'm saying? So I can, if I'm on the road, I can eat some white only pie. You understand? It ain't white only no more. Us Negroes can enjoy that white only pie too. You understand what I'm saying? So that's desegregation. Then we have integration. Integration is by choice, right? Integration, just because you have desegregation does not mean that integration comes automatically. Integration means that we are moving into a space by choice, right? We're intermixing ourselves by choice, right? And then we have what Malcolm X would call separatism, right? We could be living in the country, but we got our own. We got our own cities. We got our own businesses, so on and so forth. Okay. So, so that two forms exist. We have forced segregation, which was our Jim Crow laws. Yeah, I'm sure everybody is familiar with the Jim Crow laws, right? And voluntary separation, so communities choosing to live among similar culture. So we have the integration, right? The mixing of groups into shared institutions, schools, neighborhoods, workplaces, political systems. So the distinction is integration does not always mean equality or of outcome, or it's only shared access, right? So when we integrated socially. We integrated into a social construct. We did not take on owning anything. The system did not change hands. Money didn't move. Yes, they gave Rosa Parks, a day or a recognition. Fantastic. Yes, they gave Martin Luther King a day, but how did that change us economically? How did that change the structure of things for us within this country? So we have historical markers. We have in 1896, we have Plessy versus Ferguson, separate but equal, legalized segregation. Right. Then we move up a little bit more in chronological order. We have 1954. We have Brown versus Board of Education. So Supreme Court ruled segregated schools unconstitutional. So now segregated schools are no more, right? They're unconstitutional. Now, by law, we must integrate our educational system, right? That's a whole different topic. So uh, shalom. See, all right. And then we have in 1964, we have the Civil Rights Act, which ended legal segregation, public accommodations. So legally, segregation ended, but socially and economically, many communities still remain separated, right? So the statistics, the segregation, many major U.S. cities still have highly segregated school districts. Studies show some districts are more segregated today than in the 1970s, right? And even in neighborhoods typically are not diverse. They are usually polarized to one way. You got, white people that'll be majority in that neighborhood. You may have some speckled blacks, right? But typically, even the neighborhoods to even today have not shifted very much. Okay. So the wealth gap, median white households' wealth is several times higher than black household wealth in the USA. Cities like Chicago, we got Detroit, Milwaukee, consistently rank among the most racially segregated metro areas. All right. So even though legal segregation ended decades ago, the data shows many schools and neighborhoods remain heavily separated. So the argument for integration, supporters say, equal access to schools and jobs, which access is one thing, getting hired and nepotism is a totally different thing. The other one is broader economic opportunities. Number three, social cooperation across communities. The argument for separation or self-determination, cultural preservation, economic independence, protection from discrimination or assimilation pressure. Some believe integration creates opportunity and equality. Others believe community functions best when they control their own institutions. So my position, I am on the side of this right here. I'm gonna read it. I'm Deuteronomy 7:6. It says, "For thou art a holy people unto the Lord thy God." I wonder if Martin Luther King would have read this, he would have sided with this, right? I don't have nothing against Martin Luther King. You understand? I don't hate the man or anything of that nature. We are the same stock. We are the same bloodline. Got nothing but love for the brother. But the ideology that he pushed, I'm totally against. Okay. It says, "For thou art a holy people." The word holy there means separated. You're supposed to be in your own lane. We don't have to be like everybody else. It says, "For thou art a holy people unto the Lord thy God. The Lord thy God hath chosen thee to be a special people unto himself." And check this out: above all people that are upon the face of the earth. So we're supposed to be above. all people on the face of the earth, and yet we're fighting for equality. See, the thing is that when they named it a race, the word race didn't come around. If I'm not mistaken, if I am mistaken, put it in the chat. You understand? And let me know your position. What's your position? Put your position in the chat. What is it? What is it? How do you think? What do you think that we would have been better off doing? Integrating like we have now, or uh, being segregated or separated, right? And I'm not talking about the laws that regulate this. I'm talking about our own laws that regulate us, the governing power that is within us to be able to build, right? So that's what I'm speaking from the place I'm speaking of, right? I'm gonna go to one more, Proverbs 3:31. It says, "Envy thou not the oppressor, and choose none of his ways." See, I believe that if we would have been looking at this back then, right? If our forefathers, our foremothers, our ancestors would have known this, it would have blockaded those pitfalls that we had, right? We would have been able to keep our own ways, right? As far as the school system and everything. So before we get going, I'm gonna jump off and I'm gonna play this clip. This is a clip from a sister, and with her, she was saying, she actually went to school separated already. So T Matt, he says separated, right? Totally agree. This is Barbara Sizemore. I'm about to play a quick clip from her, and she's going to tell about her experience being in a segregated school, so we can see and we can unravel the onion, and we can look back in the past and see how it actually firsthand testimony. So without further ado, I'm gonna go ahead and play this clip.
It was probably the best school experience of my life. All of my teachers were Negro. That's what we were called then. My third grade teacher was Jane Dabney Shackelford. She wrote the very first book very first book about African American history for children. It's called The Child's History of the Negro. She was my third grade teacher.
She said this was her third grade teacher that wrote a book about Black history. And we have a hard time getting Negro books in the library now. Why? Because we lost control. We gave up the control by wanting to be like those who we were already good. We were already great. We were already special. Let's go ahead and continue.
My seventh grade teacher was John Wesley Lyda, Sr. He wrote the book, The Negro in Northern Indiana. Those are the kinds of teachers I had. It was a close-knit community in Terre Haute. So if you misbehaved in school, my teachers just stopped by the house on the way home. And of course, back in those days, there weren't any child abuse laws. We were whipped. And my grandmother would give you a whipping. She would send you out to get a switch. And if you got a little switch, you got whipped more. So you were afraid to get a little switch because that meant you were going to get a longer beating. So you had to pick a switch that she would consider appropriate for the occasion. But that's the way it happened. So whenever you saw the teacher's car in front of your house, you started trembling because you knew that this was not going to be a pleasant evening.
So, what I'm getting from this video is that it was an invested interest that the teachers had, right? Because they had other Black teachers, right? So these teachers took an invested interest in these kids to the point they would go to their house. It was more community. You understand? They would talk to their parents, right? It was more personal. They treated these kids as though they were their own, opposed to when they began to integrate into the system, and then they were looked at as inferior, right? And this is a huge thing. We should already be defining who we are. Where did we lose defining who we are? Where did we lose self identification? Not knowing who we are has played a huge role in this. Because if you don't know who you are, then you can become anyone. If you don't know what you do, you can do anything, right? And I don't mean that just in the positive sense. I mean that in the general sense, right? And you don't want to take on that identity. You want to make sure that you're being yourself. I'm gonna play some more from her, and then I'm gonna go to one more clip.
Well, did you inspire occasions for the teacher to show up
Could
at
not
your
stop
house?
talking in school. I just couldn't stop. I just couldn't. I couldn't stop. I could not stop talking in school.
And was it because you were so excited about learning?
I have no idea what was wrong with me, because anybody who's got as many whippings as I did about it should have stopped. I mean, you know, at least big intelligent. I couldn't stop. I just couldn't stop.
But you apparently did very well in school.
You should see my report card. I should have saved one for you. I have one there. All A's with F in deportment. I could not stop talking.
So you went from elementary school, and I understand ninth grade was when you.
Sarah Scott. Then I went to Sarah Scott. That's when you integrated, at ninth grade. I had a
Now, why was that?
wonderful
Why was
eighth
that?
grade teacher.
Why was it?
I have no idea. It must have been money. They just couldn't afford the dual school system up that far, I guess. I have no idea. But at ninth grade, you went to the integrated school. I had a wonderful eighth grade teacher. This was a magnificent woman. Her name was Marguerite Taylor. And around the third week of the eighth grade, she told us she was going to teach us algebra. And she said, look, she said, I'm going to teach you this algebra because when you get to Sarah Scott, everybody there is going to know algebra. She said, and I will not have it that the only people who do not know it are Negroes. She said, I won't have it.
That personal interest, that she's talking about is huge. When we're born into something, then we don't necessarily we don't see it. When someone is born inside a system, that system feels normal because it is the only frame they have ever experienced. Their mind organizes reality around what is already present. It becomes the baseline. But when someone steps back and studies the origin, the structure becomes visible. They can see how it started, what assumptions were built into it, what changed over time, who shaped it. Origin reveals the design. A person inside the system usually sees function, while a person studying the origin sees formation. This happens everywhere. We have language. A child speaks the language of their home naturally. They don't question the grammar or the vocabulary because it is simply is. A linguist studying the origin sees how words evolved, merged, and shifted. Culturally, someone born inside a culture experiences customs as normal life. A historian looking at the origin can see the political, economic, and spiritual forces that created those customs. And for an institution, people born into modern structures, governments, education system, economic system often assume they are simply the natural order. But when you study their beginnings, you see that they were built step by specific people for specific purposes. So origin exposes construction, inheritance, and hides construction. Inheritance hides construction. When something is inherited, it appears self-evident. When something is examined from its beginning, it becomes traceable. This is why returning to first sources changes perspectives. When someone sees the starting point, they can evaluate the whole structure with clarity rather than simply accepting it as the only possible reality. So that's my thought process on this. When you're born into something, unless somebody shows you different, you'll never know different, right? Unless somebody exposes you to something outside of that, you'll never know it. Let's go to this next one. This clip right here is gonna talk a little bit about the economic side, and I'm gonna play this clip real quick.
politician into power to help them out. They won't have the economic base to really take care of their basic needs, so then you can control them any way you want to.
See, white folk lend us money. They don't pay us because they know that they're going to get it right back.
1866 and up to about into the 1920s, black folk had the greatest economic achievement they've ever had in this country. Even it didn't occur under integration, it occurred under segregation. Those black folk had managed to acquire over 20 million acres of land, according to the United States Census in 1920. 20 million acres of land. But between 1920s and 1950s, they lost almost all of it. Back in the 1920s up to the 1940s, we had black broom factories, we had black mattress factories. Almost every black major city had at least 2 cab companies. We had black bus companies. We had black shipyard up here in Baltimore. When I say black bus lines, I'm not talking about just having 3 or 4 buses. We had over 500 buses. And this is in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. And our bus company didn't just service just the black neighborhoods. It serviced the blacks and the white neighborhoods. We had 2 black cab companies. We had the Harris Cab Companies and the Campbell City Cab Companies. But they used to have their own restaurants. They had the best nightclubs in the country. The blacks had 2 baseball leagues. Each baseball league had 8 teams. We had over 500 of the best baseball players in the world. But what did they do? They wanted to integrate. So as soon as they put Jackie Robinson on the Brooklyn Dodgers, black folks said, we'll give up all of our black baseball leagues, black teams, and all our black players, and we can just get one black boy to play on a white team.
Black Americans were gung-ho about integration because we thought that would be our passport to freedom. We equated integration with freedom.
That scared whites to death. And see, at that time you had whites, a lot of these white separate communities. You had white Polish communities, you had white Jewish communities, you had white Italian communities, you had white Irish communities. And white folks said, well, we're not going to if these blacks are going to integrate, we're going to come together and organize as a unit. And so white folk then dropped all their little communities and said, no, we're going to organize as a one white bloc. We're not going to talk about I'm being Polish and you're Irish and German anymore. We ain't going to do that anymore. We're going to stick together as a group. Because we're not going to let all these blacks come and penetrate us.
Because we were doing things and becoming self-sufficient, that became a threat. So instead of them just coming out and attacking, because they couldn't just come out with an all-out attack, we were a little bit too strong for that, and we would have fought back, and there would have been a civil unrest that would have definitely undermined the security of the country. Instead, they said, well, let's invite them into a place that they've always coveted, and that is into the white estuaries of power, into the white citadels of power. Let us make sure we bring them in and incorporate them to us, and therefore, being that they're going to have to buy their facilities and all their materials from us, they're going to have to interface with us anyway, they're going to dress like us, act like us, and we will take the best of what they have and capitalize eventually and take it over. We will have quelled or stopped any threat or competition to our business, and that's exactly what they did.
So black folks stripped themselves of all their resources. They stripped themselves of their unity. They stripped themselves of the role model when all blacks used to live together. Then they had their own role models. All the doctors and lawyers and teachers with the black lived all together. You had a sense of community. You knew each other. You trusted each other. You worked with each other. You participated with each other. You learned how to buy from each other, to sell each other, to support each other, to care about each other, to love each other. Where black folk up into integration, blacks never locked their homes.
We practice a very profound humanity. If an Asian opens a store in our community, we do not boycott and discriminate against them. If an Arab opens a store in our community, we do not boycott and discriminate against them. If a Jewish person opens a store in our community, we do not boycott and discriminate against them. We shop with all peoples. We treat all peoples equally. The problem is they're not treating us equally. See, we caught in our own humanity. And until we begin to address that and demand that others practice towards us the same human concern and love that we practice towards them, we will stay in this situation.
All right. So let me put it back. So that's pretty much it on that. When we look at before integration, I'm gonna show these statistics. The statistics right quick. Before integration, the segregation era, the black dollar circulated dozens of times within self-sustained, thriving black communities, lasting for weeks or even months. So our dollar would circulate dozens of times. All right, dozens of times. It would stay within our community. Post integration, circulation dropped to 6 to hours. Some studies suggest 6 hours. So we went from dozens of times, we went from weeks or even months to now our dollar circulates 6 hours. 6 hours. This is what we're dealing with. Why? Because we don't understand who we are or whose we are. Okay, we don't understand. This is Deuteronomy 28:64. It says, scattered from one end of the earth even unto the other. It says segregation / integration argument tie in. If a people are displaced and scattered, the debate becomes, how do you rebuild identity, unity, and power inside another nation's systems? We have Deuteronomy 28:48. I'm gonna go to it right quick. Deuteronomy 28:48. Why am I going to these scriptures? Because these scriptures give the solution that everybody's overlooking. Everybody's giving the solution towards economic power. Everybody's giving the solution, oh, if we come together. Well, we lost that. We lost that because we did not obey these things that are here. It already give us a perfect blueprint here. So it's not going to come through our economic power. It's not going to come through that. It's going to come through us obeying these words. That's when it's going. That's the truth. Why? Because I can look at contrast. One thing that the Bible does, the Torah does specifically, the scriptures do, is that they give you a contrast, right? They show you good and evil. By that standard being there, you have something to measure deeds by, to the left or to the right. Right. And so because I can clearly see that these things are not being done, I can see the measure of it equating to what is here on the negative side. It's dividing light and darkness. It's dividing evil and good. Deuteronomy 28:48. It says, therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies, which the Lord shall send against thee in hunger and in thirst and in nakedness and in want of all things. And he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he have destroyed thee. The Lord shall bring a nation against thee, verse 49, from far, from the end of the earth, as swift as the eagle flieth. What is the animal when you get ready to do your pledge of allegiance? What's the animal at the top of the flagpole of America? What is the animal that represents America? It is the eagle, right? It says, a nation, the Lord shall bring a nation against thee from far, from the end of the earth, as swift as the eagle flieth. A nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand. We did not understand their tongue, but this goes deeper than just the language, right? Because they talk legally, they talk within the Constitution, right? And within the Constitution, we were not considered a man. Right? We were not considered a human being. So the Constitution did not go for us. The parts of the Constitution that are written to recognize us are the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment. Right? Those are the parts that are going to recognize us. Otherwise than that, we don't have nothing that's recognizing us, because the Constitution wasn't built on us. Every system, every kingdom is built on a law structure, right? Even the very Bible itself, the kingdom of heaven is built on scriptural law structure. You have to, because the law is the governing part of everything that the entire kingdom is built on. If those laws are not written well, then what you build on, you can be building on shaky ground, right? So when we look at the Constitution, right, we were only 3/5 of a man, 3/5 of a person. So we were not considered in that we were left out of that, right? When immigrants were coming to the country, what was happening? They were giving them a land, they was giving them land away for free. They rather give them the land to make sure that we don't have nothing, right? They were giving them the land for free. So all of the resources were going to them. The wealth is in the resources, the power is in the resources, and we didn't own any resources. And then when they finally let us go free, they said, you know what? You can avoid incarceration, you can avoid the 13th Amendment if you have 40 acres, a mule, and $100, which many of us didn't, right? Which this started the slave labor, right? That's what that started. But we began to envy the ways of our oppressor. We wanted to sit at the table instead of creating our own table. We heard the testimony of Sister Barbara Sizemore, and she was telling us that her time in a segregated school was the best. And I understand, right? We weren't getting the financial help that we needed, right? But everything evolves. Imagine us evolving from that time till now, right? And being able to use the resources that we have to empower ourselves. And the love for ourselves was totally different, right? We've been constructed through this system to see each other as in a hateful type way, which is no good, right? That's how we've been constructed to view ourselves. So let me get this here. So Martin Luther King said this. Let me pull up this quote right fast. What King said. He said, when he said that he believed that he integrated us into a burning house. That's what he said. Because we wanted to be like unto them socially so bad that we were willing to give up everything, right? Because we had our own stuff going. And that clip that I just played, Dr. Claude Anderson, he was talking about the businesses that we had. We didn't need their transportation. We did all of that marching, right, to desegregate. But it's like we did all of that marching to sit at the front of a bus. We had bus systems, 500 buses. We had cab systems. You understand? But once integration happened, we no longer wanted to support ourselves. Why? Because we don't see ourselves as the image of God that we are. We wanted to go through somebody else's system. And let me see, give me just a moment here, see if I can get this clip right quick. It's trying to make me, give me 1 second. I'm gonna have to get it through something else. We have fought hard and long for integration, as I believe we should have, and I know that we will win. But I've come to believe we're integrating into a burning house. I'm afraid that America may be losing what moral vision she may have had. I don't know what moral vision he was talking about, because at that time it don't seem like Negroes was just getting treated that well. I don't know what ideology that he was talking about. And see, this is also my problem with pastors, because they say they're pastors, but they're not reading the Bible. It's like they've been brainwashed to only deal with a certain part of the Bible, when the whole Bible is built on the legal framework of the Torah. If you don't understand the legal framework of the scriptures, you don't understand the Bible. It's impossible. It's the same as a lawyer not understanding the legal framework, but going in court to represent you. It's foolish, isn't it? I know it is. All right. It says, and I'm afraid that that even as we integrate, we are walking into a place that does not understand that this nation needs to be deeply concerned with the plight of the poor and disenfranchised. Until we commit ourselves to ensuring that the underclass is given justice and opportunity, we will continue to perpetuate the anger and violence that tears at the soul of our nation. So, toward the latter portion of his life, he began to understand that what you're doing is foolish. So, I believe my stance on this is that we should have kept things. We should have just kept things how we had them. We should have kept our own space. We should have stayed separated. Had we known who we are, had we known what the scriptures told us to do, had we known that we are not to be fighting for equal rights, because fighting for equal rights is a transgression of the law, because we're not told to be equal. We either above or beneath. We're above if we obey, and we beneath if we don't. And that has proven itself. Deuteronomy 7:6, it says, "For thou art a holy people unto the Lord thy God. The Lord thy God hath chosen thee to be a special people unto himself, above all people that are upon the face of the earth." It says above all people. It does not say equal to. Okay. And that's echoed throughout the scriptures. Deuteronomy 14:2, it says, "For thou art a holy people unto the Lord thy God, and the Lord hath chosen thee to be a peculiar people unto himself above all the nations that are upon the earth." And then we go to Amos. Let's go to Amos 3, chapter verse 1 and 2. It says, "Hear this word that the Lord hath spoken against you, O children of Israel, against the whole family which I have brought up from the land of Egypt, saying, you only have I known." It says, "You only have I known of all the families of the earth. Therefore, I will punish you for your iniquities." Okay. Had we known that, had we known who we are, had we known that the Most High was punishing us for our iniquities. Why? Because we are the only family that he has known. He gave his laws, his statutes, and his commandments to us. Had we known, it says, this is Psalms 83. Psalms 83 and 3. It says, "They have taken crafty counsel against thy people and consulted against thy hidden ones." They have taken crafty counsel against us. Why? How do we know? Their constitution, which is some bullshit. That's what it is. It is not for us. You understand? Verse 4, it says, "They have said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance." Right? That's how they are confederate against us. So had we known this, why would you want to be against somebody who's trying to cut you off from being a people? They're vehemently against you. Why? Because it has been put into them because of our own disobedience. Verse 5. It says, "For they have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against thee." Confederate. They are all confederate. The tabernacles of Edom, right? These are nationalities of people. And the Ishmaelites, which will be your Arab stock, right? They're known. I lived in Egypt. They know that they come from Ishmael. Many of the women are named Hagar, right? So we're already told these things. There's no need for us to try to integrate. There's no need for me to try to become a Muslim either. You understand why? Because that came from Ishmael 500 years later, after the scriptures had already been written and done. So you mean to tell me 500 years, almost 500 years sat there and nobody thought you was the promised seed, not even you. It says of Moab and Hagarenes and Gebal and Ammon and Amalek, the Philistines with the inhabitants of Tyre. Assur also is joined with them. They have Hopen, the children of Lot, Selah. So we see here all throughout the scriptures is telling us, it's telling us what it is, but we're not understanding who we are. So because we're not understanding who we are, then we're falling victim to the traps, right? We're falling victim to the traps. So we have to ask ourselves, when we looking at the culture in how we do things, right? Even how we marry, right? How we marry, our youth, uh, even young girls, they look at, the white wedding dresses. They look at, they everything that we do, how we eat, how, the Christmas and the Thanksgiving is still it's still the same thing. We started doing it on a scale in other ways, right? We started doing it on a scale in other ways. We did not invent that. We didn't invent that. So we can say segregation all day, but are you going to segregate from the beliefs? Are you going to actually look at who gave it to you? Are you going to examine that? When you say that you're a Baptist, are you going to look at how you became it? When you say that you're a Pentecostal, are you going to look at how you became it? Jeremiah 17:4 says, and thou, even thou thyself, shall discontinue from thine heritage that I gave thee, and I will cause thee to serve thine enemies in the land which thou knowest not. Aren't we doing that? Aren't we serving our enemies in the land which we knew not, in the tongue which we knew not, in the heritage which we knew not? So, and if you don't think that that applies to you, then what language did you speak? Last year or this year, when New Year's rolled around, what did you do? Did you celebrate New Year's? Did you celebrate New Year's in the middle of the dead of the winter when nothing grows? Who told you that was the new year? Why do you believe it? Where did it come from? It says, and I will cause thee to serve thine enemies in the land which thou knowest not. For ye have kindled a fire in mine anger, which shall burn forever. All right. So we can see, that that is the reason why. That is the reason why, because we don't know who we are. We don't know who we are. So because we don't know who we are we are we are subject to fall victim to whatever comes about. If you erase a people's history, then you can fill it with your own. Of course, it's easy to take the chains off and it's easy to integrate. Why? Because now the mind is in alignment with who they are. But we don't have to be the same. It's not hatred for somebody else to know who you are. You understand? The eagle does not have to hate the stork. They're just two different kinds of birds that cohabitate. So, when we look at these things, and I listen to our elder, Dr. Claude Anderson, and I listen to these other people, and they say, "Oh, economics is never going to work." They say, "Oh, we have to come together." It's never going to work. The only way that it's going to work is if we come together underneath the guise of knowing who we are and knowing how we got here to America, and that was through the sin and the transgressions of our forefathers, through the sins and the transgressions. Okay, so I'm gonna go to one more. Psalms 147, 19 and 20 says, he showeth his word unto Jacob, his statutes and his judgments unto Israel. He hath not dealt so with any nation, and as for his judgments, they have not known them. Praise ye the Lord. So you can clearly see, when you look at the covenant, right? When you look at the promises of the Most High, and you look at Deuteronomy 28, and you look at those curses, and you see how we fit those curses, then you can clearly see that we are the ones who violated the order, and that is why we are here. And we are called to be holy. We're called to be separated. All right. So, for those who are in the crowd, let me pull up some questions right quick. See if I can get y'all. See if I can get y'all to answer some questions for me. Let me just go up here to my questions. Yeah, yeah. Oh, I must have passed him. Give me one moment. So, and for y'all's thoughts, do you all think that integration caused us to be equal? Are we in an equal playing field as of now? Do you think that is equal? Well, I answer. I don't believe that is equal. I believe that we are beneath. We are low. We don't own anything. All right. Can communities thrive while remaining culturally separated? I absolutely believe that. So T Matt said no, not equal at all. And let me do this right quick. I'll put this in here. If anybody wants to chime in, they're more than welcome to. All right. So I totally agree. So do we believe that communities prioritize integration? Do we think our community should prioritize self-determination or separation? And if so, I ask that first instead of a two-part question. Do you believe that our communities should should concentrate on building ourselves, self-determination, self-identification, um, and building who we are? I answer it first. I say absolutely, absolutely. But the only way that that is going to work is never going to work for us outside of the legal construct that the scriptures give us. And I mean the legal construct, right? Because there's a legal foundation there that a kingdom can be built upon, right? There's a legal framework, there's a constitution. And I believe that is the foundation that we can build on as as native people, indigenous people, because I believe that we are them. We just lost our way, right? Shalom, Art.
Shalom,
What's going down with it?
man. Nothing, man.
Where you standing at on it?
Oh man, of course, man. Separate segregation.
My bad. I accidentally muted your mic. I didn't mean to. I meant to mute my mic. Go ahead.
Oh, it's all good. Separation, separation all day. I remember I had asked my grandmother, man. I think I probably was like in my 20s, but I had asked her about what's that what they had back in the day in the 30s. Uh, with the United States. What
Uh,
was it? Um,
Jim
the
Crow.
the Great Depression.
Oh yeah, the Great Depression. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I had asked her about the about the Great Depression,
Mhm.
and she said that wasn't about us. She said
Mhm.
that was them other people. That was them other folks. That's what she said. She
Wow.
said we was fine. And
Wow.
she was in Louisiana in Opelousas. you
Wow.
know. And my grandfather, he was born in I think like I don't even think my grandfather even knew his age, but they really didn't take I guess take the time to actually think about their ages. But he was born like in the early 20s, and he even said when I was young, he was like, man, that was them folks. That wasn't us.
Wow.
So I mean, that's what I can remember, and I can tell when we got, when we got integrated. You know what I'm saying? That just you see what happened. I mean, they stole our land. We stole out a lot of our lands and stuff like that. So, and we don't even have land because of a lot of us still had land, even though they promised us 40 acres and a mule. But we see what happened when we got integrated. We didn't the same land they stole, they didn't give it back.
Right. And I think with that 40 acres and a mule, what that was too was that's what you had to have to not be to be like considered free after freedom. So it was
Yeah,
like an indentured servant or something like that. They can give you like labor. That was
yeah,
that 13th Amendment loophole where they can put you back into slavery. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
You had to have 40 acres, mule, and $100. But many of us didn't have that because they shut us out
yeah.
because they gave away over a billion acres and land. They just made sure they gave it away. They rather give it away than to make sure, you know what I'm saying, your Negro behind don't ever have no chance. And
Right.
by the time they let you go, you locked out.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You locked out. Only thing that you
Hmm.
can do is go back and work for somebody,
Right.
you know what I'm saying, at the wages that they deem that you should get, right? Because
Hmm.
you don't really have no rights, you know.
Yep.
So that's what we building off of. But the thing is with the integration, it's like it's the mindset. We integrated, we became like this in the mind. You know what I'm saying? Even, you know, when Christmas come around and everything like that, we celebrating too. New Year's
Yep.
come, we celebrating too. Easter right
Hmm.
around the corner. Look how many Negroes on Sunday is the most segregated day in the country, right? you got
Yeah.
you got your white churches. You know, some people got Asian churches. You got black churches, but
Hmm.
it's segregated. You know what I'm saying? You may have a speckled few
Yep.
amongst them, but it's not just an integrated type thing,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So you that's the most segregated day in the year, and yet you didn't bring over these customs, yet you still doing the customs knowing you didn't implement this. You know what
Yep.
I'm saying? So we get so used to it and so attached to it, so sentimental with it, right?
Right.
When Christmas roll around, yo, your family got traditions. Telling a person that, hey, you know, that ain't the thing to do. That's why the Bible says if you love brother, sister, mother more than me, you're not worthy of me, because you got to be willing to leave all that stuff. And
Yeah.
people not willing to leave the sentimental value that they've built, no matter what. It doesn't matter the fact that it's built upon a lie. It don't matter.
Yeah.
It
It don't. It
yeah.
doesn't. It doesn't. Cause I asked a friend of mine. I said, man, there's pagan, right? For us Christmas. He
Mm-hmm.
said, oh man, we just do it for the kids.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, but bro, you lying to your kids though. Oh man, we just do it for them.
Mm-hmm.
But bro, it's a lie,
Right.
but you still do it. So okay, what we doing then? What we doing now then? We
Right.
just gonna continue to lie to them? That's
Right.
wrong.
Right.
I believe in don't bring your kids in your midst, bro. Straight up.
Right. Right. Right.
Don't
Fact.
bring your kids in your midst, bro. At the end of
Fact.
the day, you know, and that's
Facts.
wrong, bro. That's wrong, bro.
Right.
But
Right. Right. I totally agree, man. And the thing is that how can we talk about building our own until we detach from
right.
from from them from what they've given us, right? And that's
Hmm.
that's the thing. We're not willing to do it. You know what I'm saying? We're not willing to do it. So unless it's shaky ground. We can't do the same things that they do. You know what I'm saying? They can eat pork and shrimp all day. We eat pork and shrimp all day. We going to the hospital with swollen up ankle. Right. Right. We cutting off a limb. You know what I'm saying? It's amputation time. You know what I'm saying? We
Hmm.
commit the same crime that they commit. We getting 2-3 times the sentence. Why? Because I think of it like this. We held to a higher standard. When you held to a higher standard, yeah, your consequences gonna be different. It's different from if you got two siblings, right? And one is 15 years old and one is 2 years old. The 2-year-old is not going to get the same consequences for the 15-year-old. If that 15-year-old start pouting like the 2-year-old pouting, it's a totally different story,
Mm-hmm.
right? So we held to a different standard
Right.
than what everybody else has had. Now, I'm not saying that I'm in agreement with what they
Right.
doing. I'm totally not in agreement at all. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? And I want to address this Aishu Cole. He says, Shalom. Absolutely. You can't know where you fit unless you know you first. Absolutely. You cannot, you know. So, that's pretty much the stance. We start envying the oppressor. You know what I'm saying? I had mentioned Ibrahim. I don't know how to say his name. You know what I'm talking about? Let me see.
Ibrahim.
Yeah, let me see how you say his name. I should know. Shame on me. He's the president of a black country.
Oh, I know you talking about.
I don't never know how to say his name correctly.
Yeah, I know you talking about. I say the same thing.
There you go. I'm about to Ibrahim. I don't know how to say his last name. Traore.
Mm-hmm.
He's the leader of Burkina Faso.
Yeah.
Yeah, Burkina Faso. That's what it is. Thank you. I appreciate you. Aisha Cole, my man. So we got that, and then boom, right? He had outlawed, he outlawed weave. When the black women only can wear their hair. You know what I'm saying? So, and I know that's touching. I know that get touchy. You know what I'm saying? I know it do.
Very much
But that,
so.
but this is unraveling the onion, and this is what I do. So it's, and it's the truth.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna shy away from the truth. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? I ain't putting nobody down, but at the same time, we have to recognize that it is something that is an assimilation tool, right? We do it
Mm-hmm.
because of corporate America. We do it because who we are is not accepted, so we have to become someone else, right?
Right.
And that's the truth of the matter. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So those are that's the onion. Right. He said he about that separation. For real, for real. Identity is important. Absolutely. Yeah.
It
He
is.
he outlawed it. You know what I'm saying? He outlawed it.
Yeah.
So I think even when it comes to integration, it sounds good. It's segregation. It sounds good on the surface, but when we look at the scope of our people, they not ready.
Yeah.
Not ready.
Straight up.
Not ready.
Straight up.
You got to put
And I.
down. You got to put down so much, and you got to be willing to suffer. You understand what I'm
Yep.
saying? You got to be willing to suffer. And I wish
Right.
that our ancestors would have just suffered through that time, because it would have got better by now.
Yeah. I mean, we suffered a lot, man. When you think about it, I think if we do, um, I said if we do like separate with each other, I think it doesn't. As far as the way I
Hmm.
think it's like if we separate ourselves, say it's me and you, right? And it's what's that? Who is that? Aishu Cole and it's Ra, and we on the same page. Our
Hmm.
families on the same page. We can start our own community. We buy our own land. We do this and that, and then okay, we get our own land. You got the west side. I got the north. You got the south. You got the east
Hmm.
side of all parts of the land. Now, whoever wants to come in and actually, join the fold, they have to abide by the Most High's rules or whatever we have with our land.
Hmm.
And I'll just keep it like that. And that's when you will actually grow a community, and then after that, you'll have a nation. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? That's kind of like you, the white people out there, what they call
Yeah.
themselves.
I don't know what they
Um,
call themselves, but I know what you're talking about.
yeah, and
The Amish, you
I
talking about
mean,
Amish people?
Yeah, the Amish people. It'd be like the Amish people. But we do it our way, the right way,
Right.
and you know what I'm saying, and that's how we build because us as a whole, that's gonna be hard.
Never happened.
And they not, our people is not going to do all that, man.
Yeah, it never
I
happened.
mean, it's so many divisions. I mean, it's so many divisions in what we believe in already.
Right.
So it's just like nobody's happy. You can't please everybody.
Right.
You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, man, that's how I feel. And that's the way I think. That's my way of thinking now. Um, You just got to think, the body, we the body.
Right.
You play sports,
Right.
football, 11 men on the field, 22 offense, 22, 11 on offense, 11 on defense. But we play as a machine, you know what I'm
Right.
saying? As a
Right.
machine,
Right.
offense and defense.
Hmm.
And that's just how that's just the way we gotta play it. We gotta have our armies, our military, our cops, our this kind of like Black Wall Street,
Right. Right. And
but
that's a good point. That's a good point because that also shows us that it's something deeper, right? It's something deeper.
hmm
It's something spiritual. You know what I'm saying? Because Black Wall Street, we've shown, because remember, it was illegal for us to learn how to read and write. It was illegal. If you got caught teaching a Negro to read and write, you were subject to like $39-$40 fine or something like that. Well, you 40 lashes and like a hundred a hundred
yeah,
a
yeah,
hundred a hundred dollars or something like that,
yeah,
right? So people weren't being caught teaching us, but once we had the opportunity to learn how to read and write, we accelerate innate ability to be able to do these things, but it's something deeper than that. Aisha Cole said there were those for sure that did the suffering and separation, such as Rosewood and Black Wall Street, but not having the Most High in His Torah as a center was the major misstep, and it fall every time. Absolutely.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
That's it. Yeah,
Straight
that's
up,
it.
straight
That's
up.
it.
And it was more. It wasn't even just Rosewood and Black Wall Street. It was. I heard it was even more.
It's more than that. Facts.
You
Yeah, it's more
know.
than that.
So
Those
it's
are just the popular ones that we know.
yeah. That
Yeah.
they'll tell us
Yeah.
because every day is unraveling.
Right.
Every
Right. It's
day
unraveling
you
onion.
unravel an onion.
Right.
Every day you find out something new every day.
Every
You
day.
know, because
Yeah.
I mean the thing is we don't even know if with what's his name Nat Turner. What made that actually happen? Well, yeah, we know they say, oh man, they call him Nat Turner
Hmm.
the prophet Nat
Yeah.
Turner. Why
Yeah.
did he call him the
He started understanding who we were, and
had to?
yeah, he started to understand who we were. And the problem, but the problem with Nat Turner was
Yeah,
that he didn't have the full scope of the understanding. He didn't have the full scope that we hear that the Most High has done this to us, and it's going to
right,
take his hand to get he's going to take his hand to remove it too. So
right.
nobody can. It's like whooping a little kid. If you whooping a little kid, the kid don't really have the strength to overcome your strokes. You know what I'm saying? They can run all day, but if you yoke them up right quick,
Yeah,
they can't go nowhere. And that's how it
yeah,
is with the hand of the Most High. We can't, the hand of the Most High can't be moved.
right.
It is what it is. It's gonna be what it's
It
gonna
is
be. And when
straight up.
for clarity, when I said I wish our elders would have suffered a little bit more, what I mean is, which I don't think they could have, and what I mean is just by staying separate, even though our schools weren't funded like theirs, but I don't think that we have that much control, because eventually they wanted to integrate us, because even when we look at something like the NAACP, right? The NAACP was a joke. Why? Because it was ran. How is your movement ran by your enemy?
Yeah,
The movement was ran by Jewish people. You know what I'm saying? So they was
yep,
like, how can we get these niggas? right? And so they say, okay, we're gonna put black faces all right here, but let's make sure it's ran by Jewish people. So we can make sure that our agenda is still on the way. So that's why they give us a Martin Luther King Day, because a day
Yep.
don't change economics. A day doesn't change the system. It don't change nothing. And if you notice, if you want to buy, if you want to buy the best drugs, if you want to get the best crack cocaine that money can buy, where do you go in any city? What's the name of the street?
Come on, Martin Luther King.
Martin Luther King.
Martin Luther
I think
King.
that's a big. I think that's a big slap in the face. I think they. I think that's what. I think that's how they twist it. You know what I'm
Yep.
saying? That's how they say, "Oh, you didn't win. You thought you won."
Yep.
Yeah,
Purposely.
yeah. We'll let down the barriers so that now your dollars can come over here. We'll let down the barrier. Sure, come on, spend money with
Hmm.
us, become us.
Right. Poor
That's it.
neighborhoods right there. We had a refinery, you know. Well, we're gonna knock a lot of your neighborhoods where it was prominent, in the city. We're gonna knock them neighborhood, we're gonna knock those houses down. We're gonna give you, $10. We ain't gonna put you in a new house. You'll
Man,
just have to find yourself.
what they did was to repurpose the Negroes. They started putting freeways through all of the black neighborhoods.
Hmm.
So they made sure they moved your ass one way or the other. They were
Yep.
gonna put a freeway through your stuff, or even it's in New York. They put like they built
Central
Times
Park.
Square. Yeah, Central Park. They
Yep.
built it. Oh, that's what they do.
Yep.
You understand? That's what it's done.
Man, that's
The
crazy,
free
man.
Aisha Cole said, look up the free blacks of Israel Hill when you get a chance.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. That's a historical landmark.
Yeah, it says free. It says just to the west lies Israel Hills, settled in 1810 and 1811 by approximately 90 formerly enslaved persons who received freedom and 350 acres from Judith Randolph under the will of her husband, Richard Randolph, cousin of Thomas Jefferson. These Israelites, yeah, and other free African Americans worked as farmers.
Come on.
Yeah, they call us Israelites right there in your face. Right there in your face. African
Nah.
American worked as farmers, craftspeople, and Appomattox Appomattox River boatmen. So excuse me, River boatmen. Some labored alongside whites for equal wages and defended their rights in court. The family of early settler Hercules White bought and sold real estate in Farmville and joined with white citizens to found the town's first Baptist church in 1836. Israel Hill remained a vigorous black community into the 20th century. Ain't that something?
Yep.
And it calls us Israelites right there.
Yep. Not Israelites.
Right, right. Every single one of our movements has been funded and promoted by them. When you follow the paper trail, it's a sick joke. Right,
Straight up.
right,
And they got every industry that we're good in. We got music,
right,
art. They got everything.
right,
Well, hey, let us be your manager. Sports.
right,
Hey, let us be your manager. You know, everything, man. Everything we good at.
right,
Everything we good at, man. You just sold your soul to the devil. You know.
right,
You
right.
know.
And the scripture says that we will be the that's part of the curses. That's part of the curses. Even Deuteronomy 28:40. I'm gonna go to it right quick. Deuteronomy 28. 43 and 44, I think. The stranger that is within thee shall get up above thee very high, and thou shalt come down very low. He shall lend to thee, within thee shall get within thee shall get up above thee very high, and thou shalt come down very low. He shall lend to thee, and thou shalt not lend to him. He shall be the head, and thou shalt be the tail. And that's Deuteronomy 28:43 through through 44. 43 what yeah, 43 through
Yeah,
44.
44.
Yeah, 43 through 44.
Mm-hmm.
So that's showing us right there we fit these conditions. The only thing that's going to get us out of these conditions is not anything but understanding how we got here, because once you understand how we got here, then that can be the remedy to get you out, right? If disobedience got you here, then what's going to get you out? The very opposite of disobedience.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Straight up. Straight
You know
up.
what I'm saying? That's what's gonna make us wise. That's what's gonna make us understanding people. That's
Yeah.
what's gonna make us overcome us.
Yeah.
That's what's going. That's while our people marching, right, and getting hit upside the head and bit by dogs and fire hydrants and everything like that. But we don't understand the power isn't so much within us being able to take brutal punishment and not do anything back. The power is understanding who we are and falling in alignment with that. That's the power.
That's it. That's
That's the
it.
power. Because there's no way. How is this book coming thousands? I can't tell you what I'm gonna do 5 minutes from now, but yet Moses is batting at 1,000% thousands of years ago.
Come on.
It's impossible.
Come on, man.
It's impossible. You know
Come
what I'm
on.
saying? This is beyond him as a man. This is something deeper. This is something spiritual. This is something eternal. So
Eh,
once we understand these things, then we don't have to be subject to what I read earlier. I read in Psalms 83 about how all the nations are confederate against us, right? Then we can see it now. We can see that they don't have our best interests at heart, and they never that's not their thing. That's not the spirit that the Most High gave to them. You understand? And when I
Straight
say
up.
that, I mean as a social and economic construct. I'm not talking about the individuals, the abolitionists that put their lives on the line. I'm not talking about them,
Right.
right? I'm not talking about them. They're fantastic, right?
Right.
Talking about the majority, right? I'm talking about them. So yeah, that's it. That's it. We gotta come back to understanding that and get back to the origin of things.
And they'll destroy this whole they'll destroy this whole earth before they give us anything.
Facts. And that's
Any
yeah, that's what they
everything.
doing. That's what's going on now.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
you see it, I mean, it's right in your face, man, every day. And I don't have nothing against our other brothers that, think there's something else, and they deny the same book that they say that these folks wrote. You know what I'm saying? Like, how, bro?
Right.
But how you said he's cunning, he's intellectual, but how is he when you said we taught these people everything?
Right.
That don't make sense what you trying to say. So
Right.
you trying to say we was stupid.
Right.
Come on, man. Like you can't do that, man. You can't do that, bro.
Right.
You cannot do that, man. And we are way smarter than that, man. And these people know that, and these people knew we was gonna wake up. They gave Ukraine $52 billion. They gave all these immigrants all these money, these migrants or whatever, all this money. And right when they start talking about us getting reparations and stuff, then all of a sudden, here we go, a rumor of war. We're gonna have a war over here. We got a problem with these people over here. When
Right.
when the whole wars was against us this whole time, not giving us anything, man. You can't
Shalom,
make
man.
this stuff up, bro. Can't make this stuff up, bro. We can't make this up, bro. Most High didn't make this up. Our righteous ancestors did not make this up.
Right.
You know, they did not make this up. You're not gonna write these many books, and they took out more. You ain't gonna write those many books and just be making stuff up, bro.
Right.
I don't care how many times they didn't reread it in their head and now they got it published in the book. It was already written. It was already written.
Right. Absolutely. Aishu Cole said, "Don't forget to like, share the vid, subscribe.
Already.
The onion gets deep. The
Get
onion
deep.
gets deep."
Oh yeah,
So,
it's gonna be a lot of teary eyes, man.
right, right, for sure, for sure.
Mhm. Yeah.
But with that being said, man, I'm gonna go ahead and conclude us out. This has been a fantastic episode. Thank you, T Matt, for coming on and sharing your insight, your foresight, man. I really appreciate it. This has been a great episode of Unraveling the Onion. Be sure to stay tuned for next Tuesday, 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. We will be here again live with our next episode. Also, too, in San Antonio, we will be live there as well, in person live show. We're gonna have Terrence here. He's gonna have his art is gonna be available and on display also for purchase. Is going to be there, and we're also going to have some artists, vendors, spoken word. Is going to be fantastic. So I hope you are able to make it out. If you're in the San Antonio area, definitely hit us up. And with that being said, look out for on every Saturday or Sabbath, I do an adult teaching on here at 1 p.m. And I also do a teaching with the kids at 2 p.m. Central Standard Time. So tune in. I definitely look forward to seeing you all. And shalom. Thank you so much for tuning in.